All right, hello, and welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. We are playing Blades in the Dark tonight. I am Jeff, and I'll be the one who's primarily butchering the rules tonight. We have never played this game before. We did like a session 0 last week, mercifully off stream, and that went great. But yeah, we're looking forward to this. This is gonna be a lot of fun, and yeah. Okay, so other things we do here on the channel, we do a lot of different games. Lately, we've been playing on Mondays, Fridays, and Saturdays, where you can find us streaming. Most often on Fridays, we do Delta Green. Saturdays, we're going to be doing Blades in the Dark, and on Mondays, we alternate between Ultraviolet Grasslands and Alien RPG by Free League. So, hopefully, folks in the chat, hello. Hope you can hear us. If you can't hear us, if our sound is terrible, something like that, just let us know. But we appreciate all the fine folks coming out, especially all those people over in Garblack who kind of inspired this. You planted the seed of Blades in the Dark in my head, and it was hard to kind of turn away from that. And so here we go. Okay, so I'm stalling a bit because Long is finishing a handful of details here and there on his character. We're gonna go. All right, so. Let's how do we want to start this? I'll do the kind of classic thing. I'm killing time. Van for long. Let's talk a little bit about the game really quickly. A little intro to the setting. Again, I'm assuming a lot of people in the channel have already played, but those of you who might be watching on YouTube or something later, this might be your first time watching Blades. So it's a game about a group of daring scoundrels, and I'm kind of paraphrasing and quoting the book. A group of daring scoundrels building a criminal enterprise on the haunted streets of an industrial fantasy city. We play to find out if the fledgling crew can thrive amidst the teeming threats of rival gangs, vengeful ghosts, the scoundrels' own vices, and a lot of other things. And it takes place in the city of Duskwall, or Duskwall, depending on your pronunciation preference. It's a world very similar to ours during the second industrial revolution of the 1870s. So there's going to be trains, steamboats, simple electrical technology, and there's a whole mess load of smog and fog and chimney smoke that's basically everywhere, as it's an eternal night. There's no light. The only light we have are from lanterns and various electrical equipment here and there. There's crowded, twisting streets crisscrossed with hundreds of little waterways and bridges. And this is the line that's really great. Kind of sells me on the setting, which is you're in a haunted Victorian-era city, trapped inside a wall of lightning, powered by demon blood. So there you go. So that's it. And Aaron, thank you so much for those bits, man. We really appreciate that. Shall we introduce characters, or should we talk about our crew first, and then we'll introduce individual characters? How about we do that? We do crew. Okay.
Yeah, we'll do crew.
All right, so the crew choice that you all settled on was what? What did we do? Hawkers.
Hawkers.
I think we're doing hawkers. Everyone really wanted to deal drugs. We kind of threw to ghosts. As Ashley was going through the different choices for all the different crews, Ghost Market just kind of called to her, and that's what we ended up doing. So we're going to be dealing with some of the more ghostly type stuff. We'll see how that goes. We got a name, which we kind of pulled from one of our previous games. You guys are going with the Gutter Witches, I think what we settled on, right? And what other things do we need to know? We're going to be hanging out in Silkshore a lot. So there are several districts throughout the city of Duskwall. Your hunting grounds, however, is Silkshore. And so we're going to be doing a lot of RD. It's not all of RD. We're going to do other stuff elsewhere.
We definitely like the idea of all of the canals and everything in the Silkshore.
Yeah, because like
some artists,
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You start digging into the different neighborhoods. There's like the E's, which is all those crazy little canals, and there's like Fog Crest, which is like steps, and so like the neighborhoods like built upon each other. It's like stacked, which is pretty cool. So we're gonna be hanging out in Silkshore quite frequently, and go from there.
And there's lots of bridges, and there's always
bridges. The bridge and tunnel crowd
under bridges.
It's so weird that you're mentioning this. Because I did the starting situation from the book, and you'll see what I mean. What I mean in a minute. Okay, other things. What else do we have about our about our specific thing. So you got the
Our
ghost.
reputation is strange. That's the
Yeah, that's right.
reputation
You
that we
guys are
picked.
strange. Yeah, you're strange.
Which I feel like just fits us in general. Like not
Fits
even
you.
just the gutter witches.
It's you.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else
Ew,
did you pick?
just me. That's
Just
fair.
you. Just
I'll
that.
I'll
The rest
take
of us are entirely normal, and Ashley just brings us down, or over, whatever it is.
accurate. I
And then your
lift us
favorite,
up, okay.
your favorite
Yes.
job is supply, right? So your preferred job. Not that it's the only type of job you're going to be doing. Yeah, you're going to be. So supply is kind of about acquiring new product or new channels for product, right? Like something that can either supply the stuff or just getting a bunch of stuff that you can then turn around and sell, all that kind of stuff. So that's what we got there. And like I'm trying to look at your abilities here. You did the ghost market stuff, your upgrades. You have a secure lair, which we'll probably dive into more, I think, in next week when we do downtime. We're going to try to just focus on the score this week, and then we'll describe a little bit more of your lair next week as we start ramping up into downtime. But you have a secure lair. You've got training and resolve. You all live with each other, and you took hawker rigging, it looks like. So
Yep.
you all can have like one load. You all know that one of the cool things about this game I really like is like the way it uses inventory, how you don't have to have anything in your inventory. You just pick a load style, and then as the score progresses, you just sort of tick boxes whenever you decide that you want to pick an item. It's kind of cool. Okay, so that's hawkers. That's the gutter witches, and we'll see how that goes. So let's get into your characters then, and then we're gonna dive into a score. And I'm gonna ask you a couple questions as we go around. Let's I'll start with Ashley because she's on the screen and she has a character. Your character's name, Ashley, what is it?
My character's name is Sethla Savoy.
Sethla Savoy.
She goes by the Hag.
Okay. The Hag. Is that like something that she's called on? Is that like her reputation, or is it something like only her friends call her?
Other witches.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Gotcha. Okay. Cool. And you picked and what of the various like heritages that you could pick, Akarosi, Severosi, etc. What did you end up choosing?
I'm Akaros.
Okay. So Akaros is do you want to kind of dive in a little bit to what that means really quick? Like you want to read your little entry for it? If not, it's cool.
I did not copy that to my notes.
It's all right.
Locating in book.
We could.
No, I got it right here. I got you, pal. Akaros is the largest and most industrialized land in the Imperium and is home to the capital city as well as Duskwall itself. So you're basically a local. Is kind of what we're after here. Like you've spent time here for a significant period of time. They're known as a diverse conglomeration of cultures that have grown together in close proximity for centuries, somewhat like Europe. So you've been in Akarosi. You've been here for some time. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And then what did you pick for your playbook or class effectively? What did you pick?
I picked a whisper, which is basically the ghost lady. I can talk to ghosts. I see dead people.
Yeah. So whispers basic. I mean, anyone to some degree, like in Duskwall, can potentially communicate with ghosts and things like that. Just whispers kind of have like they specialize in it, right? Like that, like a tune, like using like one of the skills, tune, and various other things. You're just more adept at it. One of the cool things in the book is that whispers aren't born; they're kind of developed. So anyone can kind of train into it, and that's been Sethla's focus. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. What other things do you want to know about Sethla? What does she look like?
She is a short woman. She's very handsome, and she is usually swathed in like loose silks.
Okay, I like how you used handsome. Okay.
Yeah, she's not beautiful, but she is handsome.
Okay. So she's got silks. She's short. She's handsome. Got it. So let's say someone's passing by Sethla on the street. What's the first thing they might notice about her? Like one thing that they might notice about her entirely.
She's got just very large curly brown hair.
All right, large curly brown, like perm curly.
Not crispy curly.
Okay.
I've already done that once. No, this one, it's just like really natural.
So if that's the case, let's start building out our hairdresser contact for your perm. Yeah. Okay. All right. Ours curly brown hair. Okay. Cool.
That's my
Let's see.
downtime. I go get perms.
So I'm gonna pull from some of these like character creation questions that are in the book, just because I'm gonna flesh some things out. Okay. So I'll start with the simplest thing. What's your vice? Because one of the things everyone has to pick is a vice, a thing that you're addicted to, or or like you spend your downtime with, or something that constantly pulls towards you. So vice could be anything from, getting into a stupor, it could be drinking, it could be gambling, that kind of thing. What did you end up picking?
I picked pleasure.
Ooh.
Specifically, she likes to go to the social club, the Vale.
Okay, I think it's over in Night Market. Yeah. Okay. All right. Is there a particular kind of pleasure that you would say satisfies Sethla the most?
She loves to go dancing.
Dancing.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
And like probably also doing drugs.
Okay.
So
dancing. Is she okay? So is she like a she's a clubber. Like raves? She goes to raves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Right.
Yeah.
She's a rave
19th century
artist.
version of raves.
Yeah.
I love it.
Just whip out that hurdy-gurdy. I'm good to go.
So the short, handsome, she looks large curly brown hair, and is basically just goes to raves. I like it. This is great. Setting up. There's somebody in the rave that sets up the like lightning electrical stuff as like the what's it called, the strobe lighting.
Yeah.
Perfect use.
Turn it on and off.
Of some Leviathan blood right there. I like it. Okay. All right. So, and yeah. Okay. Let's see. I think that's good for now. Well, I'm going to cycle back to you in a minute once I hear from other folks. I'm going to go to Melissa next. Melissa, I'm going to you because you too, I believe, are Akaru. No, you're a Rivium. Sorry. Melissa, get out of here. Long, I'm going to come to you. You're also Akarosi, right?
Yes, I'm Akaros.
Okay, perfect. Who are you?
Yeah, so I'm going to be playing Oliver Cobb, also known as the Pretender. I'll be the slide of the crew. It's like the face, or like the deal maker, sort of the talker.
Okay.
And yeah, I have a background in trade, so I know a little bit of that.
Okay. Do you think Cobb was like a merchant or something like that? Did he do like what exactly do you think he might have done in the past?
Yeah, I had him more of a merchant, so he's like selling like a bunch of knickknacks and whatnot.
Okay. So he just sold like odds and ends, tchotchkes and things. Mm-hmm. Okay. Not necessarily anything that can be considered like hot or stolen, but just more. Do you think it's less? Do you think like his background is more in just like common items or underworld items?
It's more common. Like it's just something to get by.
Okay, what do you think then pulled old Oliver Cobb into the underworld, into the world of vice dealing?
Yeah, he got a small glimpse of it. He didn't really know much, and he thought he could make his way here.
Okay, got a glimpse of it. Did one of the two other people in the crew, are they the ones that kind of gave you the glimpse to it, or something else?
Yeah, that could make sense.
Okay.
Did you meet me in the club?
That's possible, because my vice is stupor.
Okay.
It's drugs, because I'm someone that feels like I'm always in control of the situation. So when I hit that vice, I just lose all order and control.
Okay, so I think we're gonna, and plus it actually also makes sense. Both of you are Akarosi, so maybe that answers one of my question. Maybe the two of you, I don't know if we want to say partners before the crew began. At the very least, you were acquaintances of some kind. And as we heard, sure. Cobb was more of a on the level type, and Seth just brought him down, just like Ashley brings us to Strange.
That's what I'm here for.
Good. All right. And so you said you're stupor. You said okay.
Yeah.
Drugs and the like. All right. Perfect. Got it. All right. So then let's see. What else do we want to know about you?
A little description of what he looks like.
Yeah, what does he look like?
Yeah, he's a man. He's quite slim. He also wears slim jackets, tall boots, and he has a distinguishing feature about him. He's got a hunch to him. But
on his back?
Yeah, he's a slight hunch. but when he actually carries himself or gets into situations where he stands up tall or straight, he's actually quite tall, but you can't notice it when he hunches.
So is the hunch then like more about like trying to sort of affect a specific outlook so that when people are looking at him, they don't take him seriously or they don't like take him as too intimidating? Or is like there a physical ailment that
It's more of like intimidation. So he's not too intimidating since he towers over people.
Just that slide manipulation, right? Because that's what a slide does. They're social manipulators, and that's just one other way of doing it. That's a really good. I like that. I like that. Let's see. What else do I want to ask you? So they were talking in chat about how we're a fairly, we're definitely light on the cutter muscle type. Everyone here is more sort of social or science, something like that. Like we're about product, necessarily about the rough and tumble. So, and you just mentioned how your haunch is more of a kind of a social tool to perhaps avoid those types of entanglements. Like, when was the last time you did? One of the questions is I'm pulling from the book. Is when was the last time you did use your blade? Like, so when was the last time you did get into like a physical altercation? What'd you think?
Maybe I'll say like going into the wrong place at the wrong time.
Okay.
And we got caught up in an area I wasn't supposed to be. I was getting like pushed around in the streets.
Is maybe that where you got your view into the underworld, like that going to the wrong place at the wrong time, that ties back to it? Like in that, like, okay.
Sounds about right.
All right. Good deal. Got it. Okay. Anything else we want to know about Cobb that we'll learn more obviously as we go. Yeah. Okay. Let's move over then to Melissa. Melissa, who are you?
I am Uma Dunville.
All right. And you are the first person who is not of Akaros heritage. So what are you? What heritage did you pick?
So Uma is a Ruvian. And so that's kind of picking a culture that's kind of considered foreign. So, it's kind of described sort of in the kind of Persian Egyptian type of perspective.
Sure. And what did you pick for your playbook? What are you playing? Or class?
So she is a leech. And so specifically I went in the build that's kind of a bit of the scientist kind of build. I am very interested in venomous. So I think like kind of as I build her, that's sort of what I'm going in the direction of. Because the idea to like literally leech and breathe poison, I think is definitely interesting and will be useful.
Cool. One of the things we were talking about last week is like, you've got a whisper who has access to sort of like ghostly components, perhaps, or like can attune to ghosts or kind of problem solve ghosts just to a degree that normal folk might not. Plus, you have like this science angle. Like, I'm wondering if like the two of you somehow like help refine or kind of push product of some kind. We don't have to name specifically what kind we have yet because you can have a whole array of it, but like something each of you kind of provides skills that might push towards that some kind of product. And then you've got Cobb, who's more of the slide, the manipulator, the work, the deal maker and such. So it kind of all works out to some degree. Okay. So what does Uma Dunville look like?
So she is darker complected, given that kind of cultural background.
Okay.
She is tall. Her vice is pleasure and specifically dessert foods. So she is on the plump side. And her one thing that she always wears is a vest.
Okay. Always wears a vest. Like what kind of vest are we talking about?
Kind of like almost like a masculine suit vest.
Okay.
Is what she wears.
And you eat a lot of sweets? Is that what I heard?
Yes.
Okay.
That is her vice.
Okay. So cuisine in Duskfall is kind of an interesting one, right? There's a lot of talk about mushrooms and mushroom, like, I don't know, ground meat, meal into other things. Is there a particular sweet that you would say Uma likes more than any other?
So what I was kind of throwing around as a possible
To all the Twitch says it's not a vest, it's a girdle. That's good. I like it.
So I was thinking in the maybe pudding variety.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
what I was.
Some kind of pudding. Wasn't that what you said your nickname was going to be?
I was leaning toward a nickname of Ma Pudding.
Okay. Okay. You are what you eat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uma eats pudding, and that's who she is. Okay. Fair enough. I like it. Okay.
Is Chuck here? That sounds bad.
Glossing over. Moving on. Okay. All right. Let's see. I'm going to ask you a question. As the heritage-like outsider of the crew, at least, who do you trust most in the crew between the two of them? Who would you say, you kind of gravitate more towards in terms of trustworthiness?
Oh goodness.
Is it Long or is it Ashley? This is going to reveal to them who you like better in real life too. So be careful.
Yes. So what I'm going to say is that Uma has seen Oliver lie with just the greatest of ease, which is helpful in sort of our business endeavors, but is definitely a little off-putting in, if she's seen him just lie to other people absolutely without batting an eyelash. I wonder if that happens internally too.
I'm writing down in my notes, Uma doesn't trust that son of a bitch Cobb. That's how I read it. I like putting a little extra flavor on it. Okay. All right. I think we've hit our characters. Are there anything like so we've got a plump vest wearing, darker complected Uma Dunville. We've got a tall but like hunched over intentionally Oliver Cobb, wears slim jacket, tall boots. Okay. And then we've got the hag, Seth Le Savoy, who is short, handsome. It's like where someone's like, are they attractive? Well, they're handsome. Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
Like, I'm not hideous, but I wouldn't be your first choice of like, ooh, she's good looking.
Oh God. Okay. Also a rave artist, like loves to rave.
Yes.
Loves to go dancing, especially when she's high on I don't know, dream powder or something. Okay.
Ghost blood.
Cool. So, oh God, what do you say we stop stalling and get into this? What do we think? We want to play this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So,
I'm not at all nervous.
Right?
Let's get into this. No. Everything's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Just remember, this is our first time playing. We're gonna get stuff wrong. Who cares? Just have fun. Always fall back on like just the whole old mantra of just say what you want to do. Comely. There you go. Comely. That sounds when the GM sighs. Okay. All right. So this is what we're gonna do. So in the book, one of the things I talk about when we start off on like, your campaign or your group or whatever, you do like a starting situation. Now, most of the time you all are going to have like essential control over the scores that you pick and you do and all that kind of stuff. But since this is our first time, I just kind of throw you into a setup. We're going to do a little bit of like semi free play, and then we're going to jump right into a score. And this is really just to kind of set up, a situation basically within Silkshore, within where we're going to be spending a lot of our time. After this, you all basically get to go in whatever damn direction you want. And that's how it is. So I'm just going to kind of set it up. And I was telling Melissa, I'm just like, I've prepped the starting situation and that's it. So this is going to be fun. So just bear with me. All right, here we go. Let's get a little mood music. That ooh baby baby. Ooh baby baby. Okay, let's do a little
There's always
mood
some
music.
song that's stuck in our heads pre-stream.
There is.
Sorry.
There always is. This one is ooh baby baby. Ooh baby baby. Okay. So, you all, and we're just gonna jump right. You all, you received some kind of cryptic invitation. We don't need the details of which, to the High Horn, which is a place within Silkshore's Fog Crest neighborhood, along the Indigo Stairs. It's several flights up. It's effectively a cross between, we'll call it a speakeasy and a hookah bar. And there's these artsy patrons that are inhaling dream smoke and trance powder from these large shared pipes, and they're listening to or they're playing instruments with these forever ascending or descending notes from like patinaed horns or these reed instruments of all sort of undulating curves. And it is a place that's probably not unfamiliar to the Ghost Witches, given your crew's vocation, but it's not necessarily a place that you all would consider, necessarily friendly to you. Other people control this part, right? One day, maybe, you'll take it over. Nonetheless, you're here. The top floor of a 3-floor establishment. The air is thick with sweat and smoke and languor, and the tables are kind of low to the ground. There's worn, dirty pillows that are there instead of chairs and stools, and there's this warped wicker paneling that periodically slides to reveal private rooms and windows through which new product is handed to incoming customers. And as your night moves along, you notice that there's a shift change that occurs, and these tattered, like, psychonauts that had been chasing something begin to vacantly limp to other floors, and they're replaced by these broad-bellied thugs who don't seem to partake in the establishment's fineries. And maybe you start to feel a little bit of unease or confusion or something like that, but the thugs don't seem to bother you. They're just kind of there. And that's when the sudden throat clearing that's behind a wicker panel beside your table kicks up, and you hear a voice that just comes through. You can't see the face. They're unseen, but you can hear. And they say, "The den too high for you, gutter trash? Or do you fancy a rise to the loftier places of Duskfall?" This is directed at the three of you. Again, free play until we dive into a score.
Sorry, what
Actually,
I was going to turn around and see where that voice is coming from.
And so you see behind you on the wall through like this smoke and stuff, there is like a big wicker window. Like, and you can see it's like a slide window, almost like something that, you pull back and slide something through and then close back up. But the slats are so tightly wound that you can barely get any view. You see a vague figure. You can even hear like the periodic of someone smoking on something beyond, and the smell of like perfume smoke wafting in your direction. But you get no sign. You don't see anyone. Got my invitation? Did you?
I mean, we're here, aren't we? I'm mimicking you every time.
That's a fair point. It's okay. It's all right. It's a fair point. It's okay. Listen.
Old flavor.
Bold flavor. The bold flavor of strawberry scented dream powder. Okay. Listen. I'm going to make it simple. Silk Shore has long been the vice capital of Duskfall, and by one route or another, all vices tend to work back to us, folks I work for. But of late, bees have been buzzing more boldly than usual, threatening to disrupt the finely constructed systems both you and we have come to rely upon. We're looking then for ambitious purveyors of vice and consequence, such as yourselves, to secure Silk Shores and our future, to keep our streets, our steps and our canals free of hive influence. Now, your crew might be small, might be very, very small, but even the smallest pebble can make a ripple, and with our help, you'd be surprised just how quickly you might grow. So, I've got an offer for you. It's not an offer of exclusivity, of course, and it's not one we're likely to offer a second time. Hopefully, you'll make a wiser choice than some of the others we'd offer. And dear sisters, the shut-ins that they are, ignored the very hand that lay extended. There's a barge moving out of the docks to the northern rim of Silkshore, and it's due to unload some fine, shall we say, product near the bridge of the Lonely into the waiting arms of various disreputable intermediaries that the Hive has manipulated to keep their own hands clean. Now, acquiring such product would be a boon for a group such as yourselves, and an irritating thorn in the side of these buzzy little bees. Think of what you can do with all of it. Now, granted, but before you take that product, turn it right around, sell it in the supposed territory of the very folk you're going to steal it from, right in their face. But one step at a time. Acquisition is more important. So I'm going to put it to you. Do you help on the right side of those of us in the shadows? Or do you wander off back into the gutter to be all tiny and little as you all currently are? So,
Mention of tiny and little, Uma's gonna look at Oliver because she's definitely seen this transformation happen from him before.
So basically, go ahead. I'm sorry, I stepped on you.
What you say is all sound and reasonable. What are some of the dangers we're facing here?
Dangers? What dangers aren't you facing? It's Duskfall. I don't really want to get into the details of it. I've got a lead for you. You take it, or you don't. You help us, or you don't. It's that simple. And by helping us, you help yourselves. And again, you've never seen this person. They just remain behind this wicker window, just talking to you. But occasionally you hear just like the crinkling of like the end of a cigarette or something as this perfume smoke just kind of wafts towards you. Clock's ticking. The proverbial clock, not an actual clock. I haven't started one of those yet.
What's the lead?
I'll just
Seth
guide
was
it.
in.
Oh, that's
Get it. There's that barge, that boat, coming from the docks, up by the bridge to the north. Product, the likes of which could probably feed you and your fine folk for months. You get it? It's yours. Do with it as you please. So basically, you guys are being offered, because you guys picked supply, kind of a supply job. So the idea being there's this barge, this boat, somewhere north of Silkshore, and go get it.
Be a thorn in the hive's side.
There you go. I'm going to assume this is an acquiesce. I can rely on you for your fine works.
It's as good as ours already.
Okay. Well, have at it then. You hear, and then all of a sudden, all of those like big, broad-bellied thugs and stuff that have been in the room, they all just kind of get up and they slowly start filing down the stairs at that
Oh
point.
shit, okay.
And like you hear like something moving behind the wicker, and then that's it. The perfume's gone. So we have our first score. Yay! Okay,
We do.
So we do. All right.
Okay.
So let's dive in. The cool thing about Blazing's Dark is we don't do planning. Planning happens in flashbacks and stuff like that. So we're gonna jump right into this. I'm terrified. You're terrified. Let's do it. So, All right. So we got to start. So basically, what we do is we start with engagements. So we have to essentially decide what's your approach. So you've been given a score. The score is that there is a barge that's emptying, that's going to have product on it. That's apparently going to be emptying its product somewhere around the Bridge of the Lonely in North Silk Shore. Okay, and now we figure out, well, how are you guys going to acquire the product that is actually on that barge? All right, so you don't have to do planning. All you've got to do is the first thing we're going to do is you tell me like what approach that you want to take. Like, what do you want to do? Like, kind of generally speaking, in terms of how like we're going to sort of flavor or approach this particular score. And so the choices are assault, which is basically doing violence to a target. Deception, which is luring, tricking, or manipulating. There's stealth, which is to trespass unseen. There's occult, which is to engage a supernatural power. There's social, which is to negotiate, bargain, or persuade. And then there's transport, which is to carry cargo or people through danger. So talk amongst yourselves. Like, what do you think of those 6 options? Which of those would you say is likely going to be the Gutter Witcher's a way to do this?
Definitely not social again.
Is this like a transport? Because we're moving like supply.
I think first we need to get
To acquire,
on it
Mhm.
appropriately.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I think the most obvious thing that jumped to my mind was kind of a stealth approach.
Yeah, I like deception as well.
Okay. All right, so we've got deception and stealth on the table. Cobb, you're the tiebreaker.
Little deception. That'd be pretty
Okay.
good here.
All right, so lure, trick, or manipulate. Okay. So the next thing you answer is the detail. And the detail for deception is the method of deception. Now, one of the other things you could potentially do if you wanted, and this is optional, is you can do what's called you can do some gathering of information. If you're unsure of what the detail might be off the bat, you can sort of do a gather information roll, which is usually done, I think, with like, sort of survey or study or something like that. But like, it's sort of trying to collect some information beforehand that might give you an idea of what that detail would be. So it's an option.
I think that would be a good idea.
Okay. So then, Sethla, if you're looking at it from that perspective, then how would Sethla go about trying to gather some information about this potential score here?
Sethla used to be a Leviathan hunter. So she used to be on boats and stuff, right?
Okay.
So she knows like the bars and stuff where all the gossip about barges and all that stuff happens. So she'd probably just troll one of those locations.
Okay. All right. So you're going to try to basically, are you looking then for who might be on this boat, or are you just like kind of looking for like what is it Setha would be looking for to try to acquire? What kind of information is she wanting?
She'd probably be trying to find out how many people are on the boat and if it's anybody that she has connections with.
Okay. All right. And it's just you're just gonna go to like the docks or the bar. Is that the idea of trying to get a feel for this?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. What do you want to roll for this? It says the most common gather information actions are surveying the situation to reveal or anticipate what's going on, and studying a person to understand what they intend to do or what they're really thinking. So, what do you think?
Survey makes sense, but I don't have any points in survey.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. So I mean, what we can basically, I mean, we could say that you've gotten some information likely about like the ship itself, and you're just trying to go to a place and try to survey using your knowledge of like maybe it's your knowledge of ships and like how many people it takes to man those ships, that kind of thing. And so maybe just kind of getting an advanced eye at the ship might give you an idea of how many people might be on it. Okay, so basically you can just roll. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
have a point in study. So what if I instead, like, don't they have like a log or something on the docks usually of like ships that come and go, and I can get the name of the ship and then actually go and like pull some more information on it and just study the ship.
You already know the ship. You already know about when it's going to go. You already have all that kind of information. You already know like what ship to expect and where to expect it. That was given to you. So that's all there.
So then because of that, and then my knowledge of ships, I could study and know how many people need to man it, or would you still say survey?
No, it's up to you. You tell me. I don't pick.
I'd say study then.
Okay, so you're basically gonna sort of study the various. Okay, so you're gonna head out, and I think if we're gonna play it this way, it's probably more likely that maybe you go, you try to find the so you're on the docks trying to locate this particular ship, and then you're just gonna kind of study the people coming and going from it. Okay, so does anybody else want to help her with this? Like you could, I mean, we can sort of dive in to try to give her some extra die on this, because right now you said you had a point in study, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so does anybody want to give some assistance? Remember that assistance from an ally, you kind of burn a stress of your own to give somebody else an extra die. Just kind of explain how you're helping. You could push yourself, Sethla, to try to give yourself an extra die. You can throw out a devil's bargain, that kind of stuff. Yeah, so it's sort of your call.
Oh, I'll help. I'll spend the one stress to help out.
Okay. So this is going to be, I think, Seth, this is going to be like probably risky standard. I think you're just going to get basic stuff. I don't think there's any reason to make this any greater or worse than just the default. So you're up to one from your skill point, one from Uma, and then from yourself. Are you going to push yourself as well, Sethla?
This early? No.
Okay. So you got 2?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and roll it.
Failure.
Okay.
Things go badly. I suffer harm. A complication occurs, and I end up in a desperate position.
Okay. Well, I think it's sort of pretty clear what the potential issue could be is that someone sees you on the ship, and they they get an eye for you, your curly brown hair. And since Uma was helping you out, the plump Uma in her vest is very familiar. So, while they didn't necessarily know what your actual intentions are, like this could potentially be a problem later. Is that they've seen your faces? Okay. Oliver, was there anything you wanted to try to help with gathering information before we do our engagement roll? You don't this by the way, this is totally optional. You can say no and we can just jump right and you can tell me like what your approach is going to be.
What is the outcome of like gathering information? How's that work?
It could help you. All it basically would do is kind of give you the idea of gathering information is like if you're struggling to think of like what your detail could be. So in this case, you guys picked your approach, which is deception. And so you're trying to figure out what is your manner of deception, right? That's the detail. So is it going to be like you're trying, who are you trying to deceive or what are you trying to deceive? And so that's kind of the detail I need. And so if you can't think of anything off the top of your head, if you don't think there's an obvious idea, then you can do gather information to potentially, kind of mine that for other inspiration. And so Ashley was trying to do that. Seeing if maybe, because hypothetically, if she would have passed that roll, maybe she identified like 1 or 2 people that might have been a good mark, and then that gives you your detail, right?
Yeah.
But in this, unfortunately, she failed, and so that didn't work out for her. Uma was helping out with that, so I'm going to you. If you want to just say no, that's fine. But if you can think of something that you might be able to learn before the score even applies, that might give you some better idea of how you want to like frame your approach to the score.
I see. I'll just go for no for now.
Okay.
Not too sure.
Okay, that's fine. No, that's totally fine. So then, after the problems that were found with Setha and Uma and some of the people on the boat, having seen the two of you, what is still? I still am going to need some idea of like what your approach is going to be. So I mean, excuse me, what your detail is be. So you're going to deceive. That's the thing you're going to do. But who are we going to deceive, or what are we going to deceive, or how are we deceiving? Throw out some ideas.
I'd say I kind of worked it up with the people on the ship. So maybe once they make the transfer, we could deceive somebody who they swap the goods with.
Okay.
And get them from then.
Okay, so you want to focus then on those that are actually going to like after the handover is made from like what? Okay. Are you guys okay with that?
Or like during the handover cause like something, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Fair
suggestions in chat that we had were deception. We could pretend to be fake customs officers or a fake boat repair crew
Fancy. Okay.
if we were trying to get onto the ship. So just sharing the
So then
ideas.
that's the other
Chat.
option of we deceive the ship.
I agree, Beowulf. I agree. Blowing stuff up should happen more often.
Derek's not here.
Well, that's what I was going to do when we were playing at our Shadows game. I was going to throw grenades. Everyone else is stealth, and I'm just blowing shit up. So
we're going to let them do the work of unloading everything, and then we're going to try to take it from there.
Okay. So you're going to wait until after. So the idea then is to sort of wait until after whoever's coming to pick up the supply. You're not necessarily going to go for the barge or the boat itself, but you're going to go for whoever it is that's actually okay. All right.
Yeah.
So then let's hit the engagement roll then. So you get a base die of one of one, and then then what we do is we add more and we take away die based upon like certain advantages or disadvantages. So is the operation particularly bold or daring? Do we say that like approaching the do you guys want to make a case for bold and daring?
If we're doing deception, I'd probably say no.
Okay.
I
Plans
follow that
detail
logic.
plans detail exposes a vulnerability of the target or hits them where they're weakest.
Because we failed our gather information, we don't actually know that.
Okay, here's another one. Friends or contacts could provide aid or insight. Do any of you have contacts? You all should have contacts. You have a crew contact, Hoxley or smuggling friend, and then each of you have your individual contacts that you picked. Do you think any of them might be able to give you insight into this?
Not me personally, but possibly our crew contact could.
Okay.
Your negative contacts help you.
Your rivals?
Yeah.
You have rivals and friends, I think, right?
Right.
No, that's a
Yeah.
good question.
Yeah.
I actually don't know. I would think not, but chat can correct me. They might know better. But yeah, Hoxley makes sense. What did we? I mean, if Hoxley's a smuggler who might have Leviathan hunter contacts or Leviathan ship contacts, so like, what do we think? You know, he could probably give you like ideas on like where the boats, how easy to access the boat, or what are some good timings, or how fast the boat, or maybe the very information that Setha was trying to get, like how many people might be manning that type of boat or something like that. So go ahead and take a +1 from that. Target is a lower tier. It is not.
No.
District modifiers. There are. The district modifier for Silkshire has to do with you indulge vice. That doesn't apply here.
Do we get anything because that's our sales territory?
I'm just going through all of them, so I don't see it on the list. But again, if chat knows, feel free to correct me. Major disadvantages: operation is overly complex or contingent on many factors. No, I don't think so. Target is strong against this approach or has particular defenses or preparations. No. Enemies/rivals interfering in the operation. Target is a higher tier. They are. and then other district modifiers. So basically, you got +1 for your friends, your contacts, stuff like that, and your target is minus. So basically we're down to 1 die. So who wants to roll it? Just roll 1d6, and all this is doing is establishing kind of the starting position.
Go for it, Long.
That's you, Long.
Okay. Got a 5.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. So
Alright.
a 5 on an engagement roll is you're in a risky position when the action starts, which is just default. So risky is sort of like default position. Okay. And so now we dive in. Yeah, I had one cancel out, Josh. I had what was it? I had the friend gave a +1, but the target is higher tier. So those 2 canceled out. So they were back to just the 1 base. So, but 5 is good. So mixed result though. You're in a risky position when the action starts. So let's dive in. Oh God. So here we are. It's late at night. It's always dark here, but we're gonna say it's late at night. You're on the northern side of Silk Shore. If you can take a look at the map and kind of track it down to some degree, but despite the darkness, you can see off to the west there is a lightning tower not too far away that occasionally brightens the sky and kind of crackles to a bit, where if you're looking at it when it does so, it kind of gives you this blinding feeling towards it. But you approach this area where the kind of a canal kind of cakes in and begins to taper off to a more sort of narrow type canals that you see that crisscross around the ease. And you can see that this is a little bit wider, and you have a clearer view of the barge itself. And the barge has kind of parked itself underneath this high arching stone bridge that periodically little chunks of brick and sand and dirt kind of trickle off into the water. You can see that there's folks on the street coming by here and there, but not really. This doesn't seem to be a particularly high traffic area. And you notice that in addition to the larger barge itself, there are several small gondolas in the area. And you can see that there are other folks on the streets with rickshaws. It's not just one, but several people seem to be here, kind of ready to pick up. And as you kind of walk up towards this bridge area where this little scene is sort of taking place, out of the shadows underneath a broken street lamp or a turned off street lamp, you see a fella, just a little orange light pops up, kind of walks up towards you and looks at you all and says, in the exact same voice, because it's the only voice I have, he looks at you and he says, you got your order number, the invoice. And you can see down by, as you go down the stairs, there's a little ramp that goes kind of down towards the water where the canal is, right next to the barge. And you can see there's a crew that's kind of unloading barrels and crates onto these various rickshaws here and there. And some are being loaded off into gondolas. There's probably 3 or 4 different split ups of the actual product itself. So they're not necessarily presuming anything. So they're stepping up and they're like, "Where's your invoice for your order?"
This is a good moment for sort of flashback to create this order, or
Thinking the same thing.
Love it.
Absolutely. Look at you, Long.
okay.
Oh my God. Okay. So yeah, we can do. So what are you thinking? So you wanna forge a invoice order, is the idea. Okay, I like this idea. So that's what you want to accomplish. What are you thinking in terms I think this is going to be kind of kind of complex. This is probably going to require a roll, some stress. What are we thinking in terms of how you would go about doing this? I'm going to say 1 stress, complex action. It's not super easy, but it's not too elaborate either. So it's in the middle. I don't think you have to actually wait. Do you have to do a roll for this? I can't remember. I think it's just no. Just burn the stress for this. So So Long, describe how Cobb goes about forging some kind of invoice document.
Yeah, so maybe he's seen some of these loose papers fly around in the gutters, picks them up, gets an idea of like what they look like, how they're made, just tries to replicate it.
Yeah, and you were given the location, so maybe you spent some time coming around here. Maybe this is a place where like this handoff happens regularly, right? Maybe this isn't the only time, and you were fortunate enough to find like a cast off somewhere that's all kind of grimy and gross. Do you have a contact or anything that you might know? Like, is there somebody in particular that you might like kind of lean into on this? It's okay if you don't. I'm just kind of curious for fleshing the world out more.
It's just that one contact we made earlier, right? It's not, or is it like it could be anything?
You can
For
make
real?
up that you know somebody that
Yeah.
maybe like
Is
street
there
urchin or something.
Yeah, I'm fine. Just throw a name out. Is there somebody out there that you know that like maybe works at like the printing, because the printing presses, newspapers, things like that? Is there somebody you know
Okay,
that
I know.
might?
I know Danny. He's a journalist.
Danny is a journalist. Okay, Danny the journalist. All right. How do you know Danny?
I wrote an article about a supply of mine in the past,
A supply of
or
what?
like a just what I sell, I guess. Or I
Okay.
asked him to.
Okay.
Sort of advertisement.
Are you like commissioned him for an ad?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe for like the market that we like have our like lair in the back of or something, like the legit side of things.
It's not even like legit. It's like the like, what is it called? Like the missed opportunity or whatever section.
Oh, oh no.
Wait, did you just do a missed connections?
Yes, that's
You
what
have
I
a
meant.
misconnect-
Like
All
that's
right.
what it is saying is the misconnections, and it's like the gutter witches. We man who is wearing a purple top on the corner of Lonely. We want you.
Posture check and stay hydrated in chat.
Yeah, gotta stay hydrated. You don't want to not stay hydrated. Okay. All right. So he so we flash back. We see Cobb and Danny grabbing a drink somewhere, talking about whatever, and you manage to convince him to use some of his parchment and ink and whatnot to maybe help you forge something. Probably in payment for something else. You probably have to give him something in order to do this, so it's a trade of favors. But yeah, you. So this guy pops up and he's like, takes a look at it. He's reading over. He's like, okay, and he looks around and he says, "Where's your card? Yeah. We're not gonna carry it for you."
Is this where we flash back again to me acquiring a cart?
Well, no, because you don't have the cart. You didn't have one, so it's not there. You have nothing. So like the question is now, it's like, so you got to kind of go forward with that, right? So like a flashback doesn't
Got
change
it.
what's already been established, but it does yeah. So since we hadn't already established that you didn't necessarily have papers, Long was very quick and smart to go and say, okay, we go ahead and do that. So he's like, looks around, he's like, how are you planning to go ahead and carry this bunch of stuff away? We're certainly not going to do it for you. We ain't getting paid for that. And this is again
I
back to
would
you.
like to offer some extra money that they would do that.
Okay.
So like bribing them to assist with that.
Okay. All right.
We're trying to get money, but we're like, here you go.
Or like like maybe a trade for something else. I forget
Okay.
coin is a little more
Yeah, we don't
abstracted.
want to.
I mean, I could go ahead and say right off the bat, no matter what you end up rolling here, like we can say a devil's bargain literally is that you burn a coin, and that would sort of work in this case. So you're gonna try to bribe. You're gonna try to bribe them into doing the work for you and to actually loading up and give you. That's the idea here.
Providing some assistance with that, yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. What do you want to? What action are you thinking of rolling for this?
Well, I actually have a dot in consort and I don't have one in command. So,
Okay. So you want to consort.
yeah.
Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna say that this is limited effect. Limited effect, because they're already working really hard. But we'll say that the position is. We'll keep position at risky, but I'm gonna say limited effect, as they're not necessarily gonna, like, they already have a job, they're doing their work, and like there wasn't, this kind of falls outside of the purview. So at the very least, they might let you use one of their like wheelbarrows or carts, but unlikely they're gonna do the work for you. How about that?
Okay. Is it possible that I might have a little bit of product on us that I can throw in as, like, can I add, like, have like an item?
You're trying to increase effect. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So if we say so if you're taking one from your consort, the devil's bargain is that you would burn a coin, right? Okay. And
Right.
then, so if you're choosing to take it, you don't have to take it, by the way. Like, it's entirely up to you. But that would be what it would be. Like, we'll take it off the top of whatever it is you earn for this score. We'll just cut one off the top of it. Then someone else could help you still. So someone else could assist in some way. You could, instead of devil's bargaining, you could push yourself. So you could take 2 stress and get the extra die. So these are other ways you can get extra die. In terms of increasing effect, if you're looking to increase effect, sure, we could say you can mark in your loadout. Maybe you have like some dream powder or some black lotus or something that might be of interest to them, and like you can tick that, and that'll move it up to standard effect.
Okay.
All right. So, are you taking the devil's bargain?
I'll burn a.
Actually,
stress
Beowulf makes a
resist.
good point, by the way. A coin could be product, doesn't have to be actual money. So we could do it either way. Do you want to say do you want to tick the inventory to try to increase effect, or do you want to? But we'll say we could do both, and you would get essentially increased effect and an extra die, or you can just do one or the other if you prefer, as we work this out.
I'll do the devil's bargain for the
Okay.
coin, because we may need the item slot for something else.
Okay. So, and are you going to help Sethla?
Yeah.
All right. How is Sethla lending a hand in this situation?
Oh God, with like the whole bribing thing.
Yeah.
So
And it's a consort, so if that helps at all.
it doesn't. Well, yeah, you know what? It does. Sethla is very flirty. So maybe she like approaches one of the other people to like make it easier for you to make your deal, and she's just like, "Hey boys, how are you?" And then doing her thing.
Just starts dancing around her.
Just weird, just like doing
She
like
just
the
like feel
wave.
like dancing.
Yeah.
Something
What
about
are
picking
you
up
doing
drugs.
over
It just
here?
makes me want to dance. Okay. All right. Okay, fair enough. All right. So then you've got one from your point in consort. You've got one from Sethla dancing
Nice.
and flirting, and then you've got one from accepting the devil's bargain. And so that's all we're at. So since you're not doing like the burning of the inventory, we're gonna say
Oh.
risky. We're still gonna say risky limited is where we're at. Okay. You good?
I'm good.
All right. Roll it. You got 3.
Highest is a 4.
Well, don't forget, you can click on the actual character sheet and it'll do all that for you and do all that kind of thing.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, click on the thing and like use
Dancing Hawaii tune.
All right. So
Okay. Partial success.
same outcome, partial success.
Okay. So I think it's pretty clear. Like we already kind of talked a little bit about what like the like the partial success is that like they'll lend you something to use, but they're not going to help you with the labor, and so that's kind of the idea. But as he kind of shouts down, and you see this little kid, maybe 10, 12, something like that, who goes kind of running down the ramp, and you see him start to push this rickety cart up, and you take a look at this thing. And it is this is we're gonna say is the complication. It is a trashy, very weak cart that this looks like something they probably just pulled out of the canal itself. You can see it just doesn't. You don't have a whole lot of faith that this thing is going to be able to carry too much product without kind of crumbling and falling apart. But yeah, you begin to you manage to get past this guy. You handed over the invoice. You've got a crappy cart, and you get down, and you sort of are led by this little boy who just sort of points down, and you continue to go down the ramp, and you can see that on the boat itself, Sethla, which is parked underneath the bridge, and so every time the like lightning from the tower off to the west like sparkles and just crackles like with crazy light, like the whole area becomes sort of bright, but the bridge itself is so dark that no one ever actually sees the various exchanges that are happening beneath this. But you move down the ramp, and you can see like there is a couple other groups that are here. So we're gonna say that it looks like there's two that have pulled up these fairly large carts. They've got these Acarosian goats that look to be ready to pull some of these away. They have all sorts of like various tarps and things like that to kind of cover the wagon as they're traveling, to not necessarily draw too much attention. You see a few of them even have other more standard goods that they might pile on top to kind of get the blue coats not to pay too much attention. And then you also see like there's a large gondola that is wheeled around to one, or that is floated around to one side of the barge itself, and is like awaiting, as there's various dockhands and stevedores and such that are moving around on top of the deck of this ship and are like cutting through various ropes and are starting to sort out product. It's at this point, as you get down here, Sethla, that the very person that you saw when you were trying to do your gather information roll is standing like right at the gangplank that kind of goes up, or the gangway, whatever the hell is, the little ramp that goes onto the deck itself. They haven't noticed you yet, but they're right there, and they're like the last, like they're the ones who are like kind of right watching that little ramp, and you know that you wheeling up your cart is going to be, there's no way that they're not going to be able to see you.
Could I like attune to them and somehow and make them like me more, like not like lose their suspicion? Like, could that be something I've been prepping for?
So walk me through it again. Like what is it you're trying to do? Like you said attune.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I'm gonna think on it.
Okay, think on it some more. It's okay. It's our first time, so we're working
Suggestion
through it.
from chat. Trying to figure out the details of how to make it work.
Yeah, because I was wondering, because attune is specifically with a ghost. I'm not saying no. I'm just saying I don't know. We're working it out, right? So attune is like specifically like doing something with ghosts, right?
I don't have. Yeah.
However, you are next to these dark canal waters that
have
you
ghosts.
would know. People have often dumped bodies within them, so yeah, like potentially. I mean, the chances. And you would also probably know, this is probably free information, that the Bridge of the Lonely is got a very, very sad history as being a place where lonely folk come to kind of drown their sorrows, literally, in some cases.
Could I get attune a ghost to make him also lonely and drown himself? Like jump into the water?
I'm not sure.
Like an already ghosty person jumping again?
No, I want the ghost to like...
I just want to restate this. I just want to make sure I'm getting this right. You want to force someone to commit suicide. I just want to make sure that's what you're saying here.
Yes.
Are you okay with that? Okay. Let's see. Aaron says that you can attune to
me.
a person's soul to manipulate or injure a person as well, but you risk spirit burn harm. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Meaning, like if you fail or if you suffer a consequence or complication of some kind, you specifically take the harm spirit burn. Why drown your sorrow? Skip a step and drown yourself. That's like, oh God, Steven.
That's exactly what we just did.
Okay,
But
so
they can swim out the other side.
just remember that the waters here aren't like normal waters. Like they're inky black. It's not like the full on oceans. It's probably a little different, but I'm still gonna say that like these canals themselves are like this inky black color. Who knows what the hell's beneath it? Okay, so so the idea then is that you want to use a tune to screw with this guy
Yeah.
to the point where he's either gonna harm himself or at the very least
I want
get
him
out
to
of your
jump into
way.
the water.
You want him to
And
jump
like
in.
maybe I want him to jump in the water and like make a scene.
Okay. So you want to do that. All right. Okay. Sure. So off the top of my head, this is what I'm going to say. This is what I would say. People would see you do this, right? Like there's no. I'm not saying this is not no. I'm working through my head the position and the effect. That's what I'm doing right now. So
Okay.
in my head, I feel like there's probably machinations that you have to do, maybe somatic or something like that to sort of pull from the field, right?
Someone in chat says that my dancing is how I attune.
Ooh, that's a good idea. I like that.
So, and I really liked that. So I was dancing anyways. So maybe that's when I started to cast.
Okay. I'm gonna say this is desperate position because this is risky. Someone could see you do it, but
Uh-huh.
I will say that I think the effect is great because the effect would be that you get him to jump into the water. How's that sound? And don't forget, by the way, that desperate gives you XP, meaning you can mark a tick for that particular action thing. So since you'd be doing a tune. Meaning someone could see you kind of channeling spirits, doing something. Someone could see that. That's why I'm putting it in position. But the effect would be great.
Would anybody want to assist me?
What a great question. That's a great question. It's a great question. Yeah. Yes, that's true. Like that's the other thing. Beowulf makes a good point. We didn't really talk about when we did our little practice last week. Resist. You can always resist consequences. Like we didn't really do that too much, but like if you take a consequence, you can say, no, I'm going to resist that. And so if I'm saying the consequence is someone sees you, for instance, right? You could say, no, I'm going to resist that, which means you would take 6 stress, but then you would roll dice to reduce that effectively.
Oh, okay.
I do also have one point in a tune.
You don't have to have 1 point in a tune to assist. It's just you
don't need a point
describe
to
how
assist.
you want to help. So
Everybody dance now.
everybody does it. Look, they can dance if they want to. All right.
He's gonna leave his friends behind if I have my way, Jeff. Okay.
He's just going
Okay.
for a swim. Just a swim.
Sure. Okay.
Just-
So we'll say that. So
Just
it's
in the
desperate
hard drink
position, great effect. Uma's helping somehow, so that's going to give you an
Okay.
extra die. Okay, Uma, how are you planning to help? You can if you want to attune. If you want to say you two are helping to kind of funnel like spirit, like lending spirit energy or something like that. Sure, yeah. I mean, like if two people
go and do that.
combining. Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. So then, Setha, you can take a devil's bargain, or you can push yourself, take 2 stress, and gain an extra die.
Well, what would the devil's bargain be?
I'm going to say the devil's bargain is going to be you're right near the edge of the water of the canal, and that in the process of trying to sort of mess with his spirit, you might actually awaken a spirit. So I'm going to say that for better or worse, something beneath the waters is going to stir. Because it's going to sort of sense the presence of something. So it's going to stir something. And so that could cause an issue. But that could be a good thing. That could be a bad thing, right? That could be a good... Chaos could be good. Chaos could be bad. Who knows? Do some beatboxing. Oliver just...
Which is the last thing I would ever do.
Beatboxing blueberry.
Great. Okay.
Um,
So that's the devil's bargain. So something will stir from the waters, like no matter what. Like again, devil's bargain happens whether you succeed or fail, so it's gonna happen. But it's not necessarily like a a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a
I will just take my
Wrinkle.
stress, so I just get +2.
It's always a good thing,
Yeah.
Logan.
I don't
It's always
want.
a good thing. For what? It's great. It's a great thing. Okay, you're gonna
Okay.
take 2 stress. Okay.
Hmm.
Consequence. I don't know fucking bees. It's good.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, you've got your extra die from you taking your
+2.
stress.
Desperate. Great. I'm a roll, and I'm not looking because I'm nervous.
That's a critical success.
Okay.
It's a critical success.
Jeff, my dancing is fucking amazing.
Okay. So this isn't just so the great effect was that this guy was just gonna feel overwhelmed. This one guy who saw you. I'm gonna say this is what else is gonna happen, especially with Uma helping you out, is that not only does this guy kind of get somehow like kind of taken over, his eyes kind of glaze over, he gets this look of despair in his face. But you can see that one of the other workers that's sitting atop, that's like working on top of the docks, or excuse me, that on top of the boat itself, that's kind of going through things, and is one of the others that saw both you and Setha.
Ooh.
They too just sort of feel they turn and they look over at like you dancing around and kind of channeling this weird kind of almost luminescence begins to emit. And he's just almost in a trance, like just sort of walks directly at you and falls right off the side of the boat. And so 2 of them have splashed down into the water, and you can hear like their garbled kind of calls from below. And as you look around, however, everyone's beginning to panic. And so some of the folks that like yourselves are coming to pick things up are like freaking out. Some of them are trying to be, helpful and like kind of reaching down like these long poles or throwing down ropes and such. Others you can see are trying to scramble up the gangplank and try to take advantage of the situation, while 2 of the 5 or 6 people that are likely working this barge are now severely occupied. You can see others have come up from the holds on the dock, on the boat itself, but they're not paying attention to the product, and they're not necessarily paying attention to the gangway that's going up onto the boat. They're kind of figuring out as the splashing is going about in the water. What do you do amongst this chaos?
Let's take this
Take
opportunity and
advantage.
get up there.
Yeah.
Okay, so you all, there's no roll required. Just get you start pulling your rickety, horrible cart
I
up
would
onto.
say if there's a possibility of us getting someone else's cart that's left unattended, like a better one.
Okay, so I did just say that there are some people around here that are reaching down trying to help those who opt over, which means that there's likely a cart that might not have as many eyes on it as others. Not only that, but you also notice in the water, the gondola person, the people that were coming to get their delivery are beginning to sort of row the, kind of not row, but I would say actually like kind of with a sort of the big
With that
poles
pole.
kind of push
Mhm.
their way over a bit, maybe trying to grab the people before they do stir something below. And, I kind of want to start a clock on that, but I feel like that's a consequence thing. I'm still going to do it though. I don't
I
know.
would like
Maybe
the
I'm being a
clock.
bad GM. I'm gonna do
I
that.
promote it.
There's
It's
people in
ghosts.
the water splashing around, which means that the potential
Go into the water.
shock. Wait.
You don't
Right.
quite come out. Of
I
the
always
water.
forget the pattern. It's like you go in the cage goes in the water, shark in the water. So I'm gonna say that because there's 2 people that are flailing around in the waters of the canal, that it's just a matter of time before something beneath the water stirs. Okay, all right.
I love it.
So keep that in mind. I'm gonna make. I don't have unfortunately the clock mod for Foundry isn't working, so I'm just gonna do this on my own. So I'm gonna make this like a 6 clock, and I'm gonna say 1 is ticked, just from them initially falling. Okay, so you want to try to get a different cart.
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you've got these people you see over a couple steps away. Like there's 2 that are leaning over the edge of the edge of like the canal wall, and you can see one of them is like holding down what looks like some kind of large club, and they're trying to get the person or cane, and they're just kind of flailing around these dark inky waters. So they don't necessarily see you. They're only a few feet away, though, from their cart. And the cart is robust. There is a goat, one of those big old, Acarosian ghosts. No, it's Acarosian goats that is connected to it. Those big old things with like their big old horns and rams and stuff. So how would you go about trying to sort of solidify your ownership of their cart?
I'm gonna sway this goat.
You just come up, caress its cheek. Hello, darling.
I have some snacks to give it from my loadout.
See?
I'm sorry. I just the whole
That's
like
great.
I'm gonna sway this goat. Like, yeah, you are. You're damn well gonna sway this goat. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna say what this is like. This is gonna get the goat to be willing to take your commands, right? So like I think that's the effect you're getting here is that it's not gonna be resistant to somebody else, kind of commanding it and directing it to do something. However, it's not necessarily going to do anything about the two people who own the cart and are going to be upset about it. So I think the effect is going to be when the time comes, if you want to hop into the cart and try to control and drive it away, the goat's not going to give you any problems. So I feel like that's limited, and we'll say this is risky because it's not going to fully secure the cart for you because there's still the other two people who own the cart that might have something to say about this, but this will get you part of that way. Okay, so you've got sway. Do you have any ticks in that?
You have two.
Okay, so you got two. Do you want to? You can push yourself, take a devil's bargain. You can, or somebody else could potentially aid you in this. Sway the goat. Jesus, long.
I'll just push two for an extra.
Okay, so you're going to take 2 stress, push yourself. And so are you good with that? So it's going to be risky, limited. And the other thing you could potentially do is we talked about this before, is you can trade position for effect. So you could potentially say, I want to go down to desperate and to perhaps increase the effect of your roll. So like if you want more out of the roll, you can potentially go down to desperate, which again could have bigger consequences. But it also might have bigger effect at the end. So that would basically move you up to like standard effect at that point.
And do I lose dice if I do that?
No, it just changes the outcomes. It changes like sort of like the types of harm you could get, the types of consequences that could befall you, that kind of thing. It just means like worse things can happen. Rolling from a desperate position does give you XP in whatever you're rolling in as well. Like Ashley did it before when she was doing her attune. So it's your call.
Yeah, I'll try it. I'll make it desperate, see what happens.
Okay, so desperate for standard effect. So go ahead and roll. You've got, I think you said 3, because you pushed yourself for a third, so you got 3 dice.
And when I hit sway, it automatically adds my pips, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think you should be able to adjust, and then when the pop-up comes up, just adjust the different things. Beowulf, we took Ghost Market, because we're going to get into the dealings with ghosts more as we go. Then I don't know if they've mentioned their
I
individual
have
abilities.
Tempest.
Yeah, that's right. You can create different clouds of smoke and electricity.
I can
and
either unleash a
rain and
smoke
stuff.
of lightning as a weapon or summon a storm in my immediate vicinity, which
Okay.
is very tempting right now.
All right.
My roll's a failure.
So you're going to suffer. This is gonna. Melissa mentioned it. As you attempt to sway the goat does not like whatever it is that you try to offer it, or whatever it
cocaine.
is that you're. Yeah, it's like here, take some of this. Take some of this black tar powder, this black tar heroin. Go ahead, you're gonna really like it. The goat, and it's gonna reel it's gonna reel around, and it's gonna eventually kind of headbutt you And I think you're gonna take. I think you should take an injury for this, like a physical harm. Let me see what my options are. See if I have some options I can give you. What do we want to say? So this is a severe harm. Is that like a level 2 harm? Oh no, yeah, harms is serious. So level 1 bruised nuts. Uh, let's see. Severe is 3. Okay. Okay, you're gonna take yeah, you're gonna get like headbutted by this goat, and it's going to give you level 3 harm. It's gonna like an injury. You're gonna take like a fractured pelvis
Oh, jeez.
as it headbutts you right in the gibbets. Okay. So now Sethla, Uma,
no.
you see this goat is like freaking out, kind of flailing around, nearly killed by this big old Arcosian goat, Acarosian ghost. I keep doing that. Knocks Oliver Cobb to the ground. Fortunately, his ruse to try to steal. Oh yeah, you can resist. That's the other thing. It's a good question. You can say no. You're going to resist this. You take 6 stress, but you do a resistance roll first, which will potentially reduce the amount of stress. So this is a so you're going to roll your attribute. In this case, since it's going to be like a physical thingy, it's probably going to be, I think this would be roll your prowess. I think that's right. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's prowess because you're resisting like the physical harm. So on your character sheet, you can see how over by where your skills and stuff are. Like if you actually just click on prowess, and then we take your highest die and subtract it from 6, and that will give you the stress you take.
Okay.
So great playing. It was a lot better playing with chat. They actually help. Like. It's like last week when we were doing this off stream, we're like, oh, we were like,
okay.
Oh, I got a 5.
Nice. So you suffer 1 stress from this. So what ultimately happens is it kicks you, or it headbutts you like right in the groin, and it just winds you as best. And like you're just so winded. I think the reduction, we're gonna say, I think I should have declared this ahead of time. We're gonna reduce it to a level 1 harm, and it's gonna be like exhausted. Like you're kind of it knocks your breath out. So as opposed to taking like a physical harm, it's just gonna reduce the harm down to like a level 1, and just put like exhausted or winded, something like that. Okay. I think we did that right. So 1 stress in that, which is way better than breaking your pelvis. So as Oliver Cobb is gasping for air, his head down to the ground, just gasping and gasping, this goat still flailing about and making a lot of noise, to the point where it's just a matter of time probably before like attention is drawn back to it. So you still have some chaos. You still have these people that are trying to help those that you attuned over the side of the canal wall and over the side of the boat. You still have the product that's up there that you know is, by the way, going to be split up to all of these. So you're not even going to get all of it. You're only at this point going to get a fraction of it. So Sethla and Uma, what are you doing? What are you doing on this?
How many people are left on the boat?
So you've noticed now that there look to be roughly 6 people that were like involved in this. One of them was the guy who kind of checked you when you came in for your invoice. Mm-hmm. There looks to be like a little kid that's like doing running gigs. Then it looked like there were 4 more that were either at the kind of the gangway going up onto the barge or on the barge itself. So and you've managed to knock 2 of them into the water. So there's 2 left. Okay. So, but there's still the guy that's up the ramp, and there's still the little kid as well. But there's 2 more people on the boat that you can see.
Would you say at this point we want to just get on and take the boat? Like, I know originally we were gonna do deception. Like, Like I'm the captain now, kind of status.
How big is this boat though? Just or how big?
Because it's still got all the product on it. So instead of at that point splitting up the product with people and trying to like scramble and get it all, we just go in.
My thought was to try to do a tinker and just separate the cart from the goats
Okay.
and try to just.
That could cause more chaos too,
Oh my
because
God.
the goat's already crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Josh actually makes a good point. You guys did have information about where this transaction was occurring. So one of the other potential things you could think about is using flashbacks similar to that, how Long did initially, but you could potentially use them to like say you stash certain things or in the area or stuff like that. So those are things that you could potentially do if you wanted. Some of it might be more, some of it might cause stress, some of it might not, that kind of thing. So it's just something else to think about. But I think on the table, I heard you wanted to try to sort of sabotage some of these other carts to cause even more chaos.
I wanted to tinker with the carts that are connected to the goats so that the goats can go run and do their stuff, but we'll still have the cart that was connected to them.
Okay. So
they
okay,
can't
so you're...
take the product away, basically.
Gotcha.
Is what
Yeah.
We're doing.
Yeah.
And if this is sort of leading towards potentially just screw it. Let's just take the barge.
Get
While everyone else is
Yeah.
screwing around, we just take the damn barge. Okay. Yeah, I mean, risky because you've seen what these goats can potentially do. But there's enough chaos that maybe no one's paying attention too much. And I would say, yeah, standard effect, like you're going to get what you want out of it. Like it doesn't seem like it's too complicated of a task. So it's just more of trying to, steer clear of people kind of messing around. There's only 2 carts here. They each have a goat attached to them. Then there's your rickety, crappy goatless cart. But I would say risky standard is fine. Do you want to push yourself? Does anyone want to give her a hand?
Is Oliver in a position to be able to help me tinker, or is Oliver still doubled over?
I don't want to go anywhere near that big.
Understood.
So true.
Maybe he can assist by just making a different scene, like where he's like, "Oh," and people are like, "Do you need help?"
Maybe now I'll go ahead and use that item slot. So I'll see if I have an item, because I think alchemists tend to have random tinkering.
I want to be on the goat gang.
The goat's the rival gang. That's a good idea. Okay, Oliver is the first try. Absolutely. All right, so you're doing a tick on your inventory. Okay.
Yeah.
And
can we only do one assist? Like one person?
Yeah,
or
one person
both
can
of us?
assist. Only one person can assist.
Okay.
So
I mean, we can flavor assist, sure, or you can do, because if you do anything more than one, it kind of becomes a group action at that point.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. So you're ticking your inventory because you want to say you have what, like some kind of tools to help with this? Is that okay? Yeah. So all right. So all right. I think that if that's the case, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to do this, but I'm going to say I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to say because you have trying to think of what an increased effect would be if you were to use tools and set them free. What would you? I don't know. What do you all think? You guys throw out some ideas. Like if Melissa's she's using some like Tinker's tools or something like that. She wants to increase the effect with it. What do we think beyond just setting them free? What could an increased effect be?
It kicks one of the people leaning over into the water.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so one of these other folks that's on the docks, that's on the canal bed, could definitely do it in scene. I was going to say that was going to be standard, is that she wasn't going to, because they're distracted already. But I like where Seth is going with this, and so we'll say increased effect. Yeah, you just kind of get them loose and free, and that they might kind of flail about and knock another one over. Okay. Thank you for those bits there, Adam. Appreciate that. Let's see.
So then
Darvain, we're
that's-
playing Blades in the Dark, tabletop role-playing game by, I want to say, Evil Hat. We are in a kind of a steampunk industrial setting. They're currently trying to get on board of a drug barge that's parked beneath a very high-arching bridge. And they're trying to cause some distractions with some large goats to have them run around. So yeah, it makes
So
perfect sense.
so I'm rolling. So I've got my tinker, which is at 1, no additional dice, but now it's a great effect.
Great effects. See, I liked Ashley's idea of like maybe
Okay.
one of the goats like is able to get free. You're able to gonna dislodge them quick enough so that they don't have any of the other stuff that's connected to them, any of the harness or things like that, and they just in the process maybe one of them just bumps into it.
All right, and I'll go ahead and take the stress to get an extra dice.
So you're gonna push yourself. Okay. All right. Don't forget we can always do devil's bargains and things like that. Okay.
I could assist if Oliver wouldn't.
Oh. Sorry, I rolled.
Oh,
Nope.
you did it.
You do it. You so yeah, you are able as while Oliver is on the ground. I like, and while Setha is like kind of winding down her dance a little bit as she was maybe getting a little into it. You sneak over towards the other cart first, the one away from the flailing around goat that headbutted Oliver in the groin. You kneel down, you pop out your tools, super quick, super easy. It's not very difficult, and luckily the goat is being surprisingly docile. You let that one free, and in the process, that thing just did not want to be attached to this cart. Leaps forward, knocks over one of these other kindly drug dealer types who are actually just trying to help. They're just trying to help their supplier by getting them up out of the water where things might be stirring. And you can see a third body now falls, and then we're going to say is right as the guy who is swimming up from below grabs onto that club, the goat hits him, and then the two of them fall right back into the water. So there's 3 bodies in the water as well. And in the process, while like the other cart owner is like, oh, and is now freaking out. You manage to use that cover to get over towards where Oliver sneak past him and quickly unharness Oliver's friend, who proceeds to mash on Oliver a bunch more times. Yeah, Oliver's dead.
No.
Sorry, did I mention that was a possibility?
No.
Okay.
It
So
was a success, gosh darn it.
Sethelish, there's now 2 goats that are running around on the canal wall here. There's a figure there's like one figure that's still reaching down to try to like help somebody. There's some of the remember that there were 2 carts that were like two groups down here that were already trying to get their share. One of the groups was kind of still in the canal wall. One of the groups kind of rushed onto the boat to take advantage, and they're currently just trying to like with big old arms full of like crates and barrels and sacks of whatever product this barge is carrying. They're just stacking that stuff on themselves, and they're bringing it back towards the canal wall. You've got the 2 barge workers that are not in the water that are throwing down lines to try to get the people that are in the water, and you have a gondola that's sort of circling around this barge as well, trying to help. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking right now would be a good time to try and get a storm in our vicinity.
Okay. You want to tap into your ability?
Yeah.
Okay.
That or, well, no, maybe that's a little too aggressive. That or I could unleash a stroke of lightning against the 2 other like actual people on the ship. And
Which
try
is
and
more
knock-
aggressive.
And try and knock them in the water.
No, it's too aggressive to do a storm. I should hit them with electricity. That's way.
No, I meant
less.
the electricity is aggressive.
Okay.
But
Okay. Okay. So you're gonna use because that's a tune again, right? Like you're casting a tune,
Yeah.
I believe,
Mhm.
or you're rolling a tune for that. So you can push yourself to do one of the following: unleash a stroke of lightning as a weapon, summon a storm in your immediate vicinity, like torrential rain, roaring winds, or heavy fog. That's used more for obscuring. So are you using it then like offensively?
I want to like. I'm thinking more honestly. I want to obscure if we're gonna take the ship.
Okay.
And make it easier for us to get out.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to say that you're trying to obscure you're trying to create like a fog in the area to just sort of obscure yourselves. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
All right.
And like, because ideally, like, Sethla wants to get on the ship and get us with the ship the fuck out of here.
Okay. So you want to do this so you can get on, obscure your movement onto the barge, and then
Yes.
abscond with it.
And
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So. Okay. I'm gonna say this is gonna be desperate in the sense that you're once again sort of tapping into some of like the spirit, like kind of the spirit energies around here, which is already a little bit on edge considering some of the other attunement that's been happening. There's people that are, sloshing around. The attention that you're drawing from the, from the spirit world, right? The stuff that's wandering around, that's very, very serious, and it could perhaps like just draw them back. Not only that, but if suddenly like this fog cloud appears around this barge, the attention that just normal folk might, so it's going to draw attention basically is whatever this is going to do, but it's going to have the greatest effect is though it's going to be able to obscure your movements onto the boat. Is kind of where I'm thinking. How does that sound?
That's what I'm going for.
Okay. So you've got how many ticks in attune?
2.
Okay, so Devil's Bargain is that this okay, I think Devil's Bargain no, go ahead. Do you have an idea?
This definitely awakens something.
Yeah, that's what I was going to the same place too. Like this was going to fill the clock up, which is again not
I want it
necessarily like you can benefit
100%.
from that, but it also you could severely go the wrong way too. Okay, all right. So the entity in the water is going to awaken no matter what. You get your extra die. Desperate with great effect.
Okay,
You good?
So I have +1 die. It's desperate, great effect.
So it's 3 dice. Is anybody you're looking to get anyone to assist in any way?
Anybody want to? Yay, nay.
Okay, that looks like a nay. They were like,
That's a
screw you,
nay.
witch. Okay, go ahead.
Hag. Okay.
Hag. What's it 3? I love that part.
I wanna push that off.
Okay, so, well, here, let me tell you what the consequence is going to be.
Okay,
it's going to be soul burn, right? That's what it's going to be. So it's going to be soul burn harm to you. However, you want to resist it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then this is release the crick. So this is resolve. So this is just like what Long did when he resists, but you're going to be resisting with resolve as opposed to prowess because this is more attunement, magical, such and such. So you're taking 6 stress to resist this, minus the highest die that you roll when you roll resolve.
Okay.
So go ahead, roll resolve. Okay.
Oh, -5. So sweet.
So you get 1 point. It should tell you in the thing. So you take 1 point of stress.
Okay.
However, and also you rolled it at desperate, so go ahead and tick XP as well. However, a couple things. First, as you begin to see like the fog kind of materialize, almost as if it's coming, like this mist begins to rise up from the canal that you think at first is you controlling it, kind of orchestrating it and moving it up. And that's when you realize with great horror, as like through the various machinations and your focus, you're trying to get it to do something, but instead you realize that that is not you controlling it. And you see erupting from beneath this dark liquid, this tentacle sort of begins to rupture out of the water. This kind of long, slender, dark tentacle with these little suction cup figures that are kind of appearing on the inside of it. And it begins to sort of rise and rise until you see a second and then a third and then a fourth. and you also see what they're all attached to as this kind of squid-like, octopus-like head begins to emerge. I'm going to also say that one of the poor schmucks that's down in the water, as you look, as the tentacle like kind of wraps around them at this point, and like they're like, ah, ah. You guys are witches, but this is not just your average ghost that you just awoke.
Okay.
Isn't there like a stress roll thingy, like a fear for seeing the supernatural?
Yes.
Yeah.
There is.
There's a close encounter. You do a resolve resistance to avoid freezing or panicking from fear. So I think that's what I see. So stress and
Everybody?
supernatural close encounter. So if this was just, you guys are witches, you guys deal with the ghost market and stuff like that, whatever, to some degree. So like if it was just a ghost that popped up out of here, that's no big thing for you all. Okay. But this is something different, right? And so I'm going to say that the sight of this thing, and this, it's quite large, almost as large as the boat itself. But it does seem occupied currently with the things that are splashing around in the water. Why isn't everybody, I think it's resolve. Yeah, it's a resolve resistance roll for a close encounter thing.
Success
check.
for Uma.
Let me look this up.
Ooh.
Also success.
They got some sort of like Kraken thingy. Oh, of course my PDF freezes. Of course it freezes.
Succeed, but I suffer 4 stress.
Okay. So you guys managed to keep your wits about you. You've got a job to do. You've dealt with forces of the arcane. This is a little bit scarier, probably a little bit more than a little bit bigger of a thing that you would care to deal with. But you've got a job to do. You know you have to do something. But now there is some kind of underwater demon creature that has emerged within the canal. So what would you like to do next?
Well, everyone's really distracted now.
Yeah. Would you say that like one of the first cards actually had some product on it?
I mean, let me do a fortune roll. This is one of the few times we roll, GM's roll.
Mm-hmm.
Let me do a fortune roll really quick. Some, but not much. Yeah, there's a little bit up there. It might be a day's worth of product that you could sell. It's really with the way in which the job was kind of sold to you all. Like this had the potential to like really put a dent in the sort of the machinations of the hive, but also to kind of really put a shot into the arm of your work.
So potentially, like, granted, we wouldn't get as much product, but if we wrecked this boat with the product on it, with this Kraken, we're still putting a dent in the hive.
But we're not really helping us because we
But you're not, you're not getting as much. Yeah, you wouldn't get as much benefit back. So I would say, like mechanically, that would probably end up being like, sort of a reduction in like your post score rewards type of thing.
Just a little bit of a practical kind of imagining this. Where the Kraken is that now blocking where we could have driven the barge, or is there a direction away from the Kraken in the water?
There's still a way you could potentially pilot the barge away. Yes, you could go back. You could take it back north, or excuse me, you take it like you probably want to be careful taking it south because you know that the canals eventually taper and they become much more narrow the deeper you get into Silkshore. But you could potentially take it back north. It's more like it's alongside of it as opposed to like blocking a route currently.
Fair enough for witchcraft. Let's get on board.
Yeah,
Beowulf
there's
Beowulf makes another really good point about the setting itself. So when someone dies in Duskval, there's these bells that are to the north in one of the different districts that will start to ring, but only the people that are in kind of close proximity of that death will hear the bells. And then these crows will get released, and they'll kind of over time, over like I think every hour or something like that, they begin circling closer and closer and closer until they pinpoint like where the death occurred, And usually like the spirit wardens then will come because the spirit wardens are trying to like kind of stamp down the possibility of like feral ghosts. And if they get to the body before the ghost can kind of fully separate itself and kind of they can kind of nip it in the bud, so to speak. So yeah, like this is bad. This is bad.
I mean, we're not gonna get as much, but Sethla's vote is to just get whatever's on that cart and get out.
I'm coming for a measly crate.
Okay. What's your plan?
We're getting on.
We're getting on the boat.
Okay.
So Uma would like to do a flashback if possible, because our plan was deception. So
Okay.
Yeah.
in terms of kind of
Yep.
what we were, I would assume that we would have tried to maybe, I'm trying to think of something that we would have stashed, like maybe stashed ship's gear, or something like that. So like we would have looked at a place walking here dressed like we worked on the ship, but maybe we stashed the gear here so that we could change in and then look as if we were like working on the ship the whole time.
So you want to say you would have stashed disguises nearby to make it look like your sailor types?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, if you want to do that, like,
Because then if we're going to take the ship and then we're going to have to land somewhere else with the ship and make it look like this is ours to have. That's my thought process, if that's...
My concern
Makes
is just with the
sense.
current clock we're on.
yeah, I mean, at this point, like the bigger issue, and it's less about like I guess I could start technically one. Yeah, I'm gonna start one. I'm gonna say there's a 4 o'clock with 2 ticks already before this guy who's wrapped up by the tentacle dies. He's not quite dead yet, but he will die very soon. People are panicking as well, and yeah, so there's that to concern yourselves with. But then there's still time after that. But the bigger issue is that there's this giant like demon creature in the water, right? So if you want to do a flashback to say you have, but I would also say like it's not like they're not Navy, they don't have like military similar uniforms. They're just dressed like workers, they got like some of them, they're not all wearing the exact same thing. So they just look like they just look like workers. But what is but you could still do it. Like you could still, if something that makes you look less like you with your vest and things like that, and more like that's certainly something can be done. And I would say it's probably not even difficult to do.
Okay.
Yeah, and we could also just say, instead of having it stashed, you could say you can have disguises of some kind so that you don't.
Underneath.
Yeah, that's fine. But the bigger issues at hand. So we'll say, I'm just gonna say for free. We don't even have to worry about like we flash back to you just sort of going around basic markets. It's not hard to acquire. This is super easy. You're just doing some clothes shopping around night market or something like that. You pick up, some dungarees and things like that, just to try to affect kind of a dock worker style.
Okay. So then basically the RP right there is basically I just check my bag and just make sure everything's still in place and hasn't gotten knocked around by goats and
Or it's
everything
just
else
like
that's been going
you just
on.
like lift the
Yeah.
vest up and look down and like, yeah, you still have it
Okay.
on. Yeah, I totally
Yeah.
I remember
Nice.
to wear that. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Then the issue is still here. There's still product on that ship, on that barge. There's still this monster in the water. There's still these people that are in the water. There's these 2 goats, but unfortunately you have detached the goats from them, so they're running around freely.
Mm-hmm.
The
All
question
right,
is,
Oliver, you don't want to take what we got. What's the plan?
Moving on, let's get to that point.
okay, getting onto there's nothing stopping you from getting onto the ship, so there's not even a roll as necessary. So you roll up onto the ship. Everyone, the chaos that's happening, no one's paying attention. There's actually people, like you can see that there's those others that were carrying the goods that they came up to try to steal some, and they're like pushing past you, like, oh my god, go get out of here, go, where the fuck's I go, I don't give a fuck, just run. And then you can see they're running up the ramp, and they have like a handful of things like slapped over their shoulders here and there, and they just leave their cart like sitting in there. They don't care anymore. That's how like scared and afraid that they are as they're running away. They didn't pass their resolve test. And so all that's left up here are like the two barge workers who are trying to desperately get like their other fellow employee out of the water before they get wrapped up. They've said, screw the other guy. He's already wrapped up, and they're trying to get him up for now. What do you guys want to do?
We could ignore them for now and just try and like drive the boat.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're just getting on.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you look
That's
at the
a problem
map.
for later, Ashley.
Okay. Are you looking at the Duskfall map?
Yes.
So if you look up towards like kind of the northwest section of Silkshore, where I'm pinging for you, the three of you, so you're relatively close to the lightning fence to the west. You can see the Spark grounds are to the southwest, and you can see how the canal itself, as it goes further south and south towards the Bridge of the Stars and the Bridge of the Bells, it begins to taper off.
Mm-hmm.
You would assume that at a certain point, there's only so far you could possibly take the barge southward. If you were to go northward from here, you would be going into the North Hook Channel. And you could head eastward over to the docks potentially. You could sort of do that. You also know that there are some smaller docks that are on the north side of Silkshore by like the Bridge of Wine and Bridge of Candles, things like that, where you might be able to park the barge and get out with. So like you have those choices. Going south, you're limited how far you would be able to go. Going north, you're basically going out more towards onto open water. So those are your options in terms of the directions that you would want to go.
North?
Okay.
North sounds good.
All right. So, Seth, I do want to drive the boat roll here. Oh, my God. You have so much stress, Ashley.
I
looked at
do.
you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I took 4 with that resolve test.
Yeah, that's rough. Okay. So, I keep going out of focus. What do you want to do to try? Like, what do you want to roll to drive this boat? Is it too late for play number 2? Yeah. Is it too late to just go to school? Can we just go back to college? Is there a trade school for like air conditioning repair that we could just go to in Duskfall? This drug dealing stuff is hard. Ashley is
what
totally
you
heading
guys
to Trauma Town.
say? I am. I would like to be haunted. Command or study?
I can help with the study to try to figure out the controls.
You can help with anything.
Like
Don't forget.
I've spent time studying how to even though I was a Leviathan hunter and I never actually like drove the ship, I've studied it in my spare time.
Okay, so I think what so I think study is that's for people, right? Or is it more?
Oh yeah, you're right.
I can't remember. I'm not saying no. I'm just trying to
both.
remember.
Because it's more.
Did Forge just die on us? Do you all have access to Forge still?
So study, you're gathering information from documents,
Absolutely.
newspapers, books, research.
Yeah, my Foundry.
Oh yeah, my stuff is.
Yeah, my
Forged.
Foundry just died on me. That's okay.
I'm gonna relog, I guess.
I can't log in either. We'll have to just remember as best we can. Do you have? I would say pull up. You guys might want to pull up a die roller. Oh, there it goes. It's back up. Sorry, folks. Give us 1 second as our VTT just had a little bit of a hiccup, and we are back up. There we go.
Pick a number between 1 and 6.
Honor system. Okay. Just tell me what you want to have happen. Okay. So you're driving the boat, and you're trying to head north into the Hook Channel. Okay.
Yeah.
You are rolling what skill now?
Actually, finesse is handling the controls of a vehicle or directing a mount.
Gross.
Okay.
Yeah, I have 0 in finesse.
Thank you, G-Funk. Appreciate that. Also like your name. It's awesome. Okay, so you want to roll finesse to steer the boat out of the canal and away from the danger of this demon tentacle
Do I
thingy.
have to be driving the boat?
No,
I can
you
drive.
just-
I have finesse, so I can drive
Okay.
the boat if you can help with
I
your
cannot. I
information.
have so much stress. Somebody else can drive.
Yeah, let me help
Okay.
here. As we board the ship, I want to command these two other dock workers. Like, we're getting a move on. We're getting this boat out here.
Okay, you're gonna command, and so you're gonna get them to do something to
You guys
like
get to your
okay.
ships,
Get to your
spots.
stations.
Stations, yes.
Okay, and convince them like we gotta get the hell out of here before this thing
Yeah. Do you
gets us
wanna
all
die?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
pretty much.
Oh yeah, for sure. This sounds. Oh, I like that idea. So, what do you want to roll? You said command.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna say
Or just like
standard effect.
assisting.
They're gonna do what you want them to do. Okay. If you can convince this, and I would say, I don't know if I would call this. Does this feel desperate to everybody? Does this feel desperate? I don't know. This feels like it's desperate in the sense that there's like a monster here, but I also feel like at the same time, like these two people probably want to live.
We've
I don't
got
know.
2 votes
There's-
for desperate in chat.
I think desperate. Yeah, I do think desperate. So we're gonna say standard effect desperate. So you're gonna get to mark more XP.
Mm.
Okay. Is anyone? Are you gonna push yourself, or do you want a devil's bargain?
Oh, I can push here.
Okay, so you're gonna push yourself. Go ahead and take your 2. And then Ashley or Melissa, do either of you want to lend a hand here?
I'm focusing on the driving thing.
Okay.
I'm
So you
scared. What happens when I fell off all my stress? I get trauma.
Yeah, and you're basically out of the score once you
Yeah,
fill up.
never mind.
You're not like dead or anything. You're just out of the score.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe you fall into the water and then you wake up on the shore somewhere, not
I
dead.
wake up on a gondola.
What? On a gondola? We're going on the gondola now.
We're going
Let's
on
get on
an
the gondola.
adventure.
Dusk Falls all of a sudden is New Jersey and Long Island. Okay. How many do you have in command, Oliver?
I have 1.
Okay, and then you get your extra 1 from pushing yourself. Okay, go for it. The other cool thing about trauma, by the way, is that if you are affected by it, you actually get XP. So sometimes actually rushing a trauma. I read. This is all I've read. I haven't experienced it personally, but I've seen people like sometimes advocate rushing a trauma so that you have something else to generate XP from.
You say what
People
the
in
effect
chat
is?
who knows more. Yeah, I think the effect is gonna be standard. Like they're gonna do what you say, for sure.
Partial success.
Partial success. Okay. So you suffer harm, a serious complication occurs, or you have reduced effect. Okay. I think, let's see. What do we want to do? I mean, there's nothing here that I think would require you to suffer harm. You're just yelling at them, right now. A severe complication. I don't know. Throw some ideas out. What are you all thinking?
One of the tentacles grabs one of them.
Oh, okay. And so we only have 1 left.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we have less help.
I like it.
Hmm.
All right. So as you're yelling at them, what is it you say? Let's RP it for a sec.
Yeah, I was like, get to your station. There's a crack in here. It's dangerous.
Okay. Who the fuck are you? And they turn around like they're both like, who the fuck are you? Who the fuck do you think you are telling us what to do? And all of a sudden, as he's like yelling at you and talking about, the tentacle wraps around him, just pulls him off, and then the other guy's like, yeah, you roll. Okay, yeah. Go ahead, Mike for the. And he starts running over to his position at that point. Okay. And then over steering the boat wise, what are you all doing? You got, I think it was Uma that was going to steer it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
I've
said
got the one in
you want to
finesse.
you want to roll for finesse, and then Setha, were you aiding? Were you going to take an extra stress?
I would get a trauma.
It's up to you.
Just go sit down. You've had enough going on. Just sit down, strap in. It's
Get
gonna be a
trauma,
rough
you
ride.
fill it, or you overtick it?
Great question. Is it
Oh.
fill or you have to go over? Let's see. I'm looking at my cheat sheet here. Okay. What about pushing yourself? Are you going to push yourself? Do you want a devil's bargain?
I've got 4 stress, so yeah, I can push myself.
Okay. So you could take 2.
But yeah, it looks like you fill it.
Yeah.
Doesn't
If
matter.
row is filled, you mark
Yeah.
harm, and the next. Yeah. Okay.
So I'm just vibing, okay? I'm
Mm.
still attuned into the spirits.
So risky.
Trying to dance to the
standard.
demon. They're like, come on, demon, just dance. And it's like one of the tentacles is like reaching up towards you, but hesitates. It's like, huh.
I do have an item that demons don't like if it's a demon.
Oh, that's right, Cobb. Yeah. So this is like a setup action, right? Isn't that what that's called? I think so. Beowulf just kind of, Beowulf reminded me that Oliver's command was basically like a setup action for Uma, which, let's see if I recall what the setup action. I know what it is. I know the name of it. Trying to remember exactly what that does. I think it might. I'm gonna say, because I don't know off the top of my head, what we'll do is we're gonna make this. I'm just gonna increase position and effect. So, it's gonna be. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it at risky, just because this is a very risky situation. But I will give you great effect. How about that? We'll say. Does that work?
Okay, so +1
Or do you
die
get it your
because of my stress.
Okay. So I'm trying to. Okay. So you. All right. You do it.
I do.
So
I
you.
pilot this boat.
So we're on the barge now. There were two other people that were on here with you. One of them just got pulled off by the tentacle, and there's now tentacles like kind of waving around in the middle, and like there's these two guys are like, ah, ah. And then what happens is you've got Uma runs over towards the wheel. Cobb, you managed to convince this other guy who's like quickly like maintaining lines, securing various lines. I don't know shit about sailing. And as you guys steer away, you look behind you and you watch as the gondola that was nearby, that was like kind of picking up their delivery, gets wrapped up in the tentacle as well and snapped in half, and like someone flies off, splashes into the water. You still see like one of the goats like right at the edge of the canal wall that's just kind of looking down at this point, and it's just like wondering what exactly happened. But this tentacle is going crazy. But it's at this point you hear the chimes, the bells, as one of the figures that's in the grasp of this creature snaps, and gung, gung. And you all hear it as you begin to move northward and away from this craziness. Now, fortunately, it seems like whatever creature this is that you summoned seems to be a little bit more interested in what it already has than necessarily chasing after you currently. There's one last thing, though. As you the ship managed to makes its way out of the canal into sort of this channel ocean, or not the channel, it's not an ocean itself. You've got this person on here who is under the employ of the people that you are working against. And that's the last real obstacle you have here. So how do you take care of this one guy who did help you, but how do you take care of this one guy as you're curving the barge and the boat around and out of the way? It's my last real question I'm going to ask. I think after that we can kind of montage the end of it.
I'll speak with them here. I want to strike them a deal. You're with us now. The gutter witches.
You want to try to recruit him?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. So what do you want to roll?
Yeah, sway.
That seems like a sway.
Okay. Okay. So you want to try to recruit him to your crew. I like this idea. I like this idea a lot. So then I guess do you want to assist Uma or Sethla? She starts dancing again. And then another creature comes up out of the water. Every time she dances, all of a sudden we get a kraken just appears.
That would mean a stress though, so I guess I can try.
Okay, so you take one.
Yeah.
So you come over and you're helping somehow with convincing him to join the crew. Okay. Devil's Bargain. We'll say success or fail. we'll say success or fail, since you're gonna, I kind of want to say one of two things. You guys tell me what you think about this. One could be that he kind of requires something from you, so maybe like you try to like bribe him with money, like you try to throw a coin in his direction, something like that. So we'll do that again. The other thing we'll say is just increased heat. Like that's like simple enough. We can just say you take 2 extra heat because this was a pretty serious situation. So I'll throw 2 devil's bargains out there for you.
I have an idea. He joins, but you know how they have like the modifiers of like cohorts almost, where
Sure.
he's not he's like a risky one, like he doesn't quite always cooperate, or like potentially he feeds information to the hive on like our operations kind of thing.
Okay, so you are wanting to knowingly take on a double agent?
I don't, but
I didn't want to do that. That felt
that's
that
a
felt mean. I
potential-
didn't like maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't. But all right, I'm gonna throw this idea. So we're just gonna say increased heat. I'm just gonna say increase. Just keep it simple. There's a big racket here. No matter what, like you made a lot of noise. You just sped out this barge into the water. There's a freaking demon creature by one of these bridges that's near one of these lightning towers. Someone sees it. The bells are ringing. Increased heat. So
Yeah, I'll take
plus
the heater.
plus 2 heat. Okay, plus 2 heat.
Yes.
Okay. All right, you're taking it for the extra die. So you got your extra die from you. Uma's trying to offer some pudding. Like,
Here, eat the pudding, sweetheart. Eat the pudding. This is good. It's tapioca.
you get your extra die from that. How many sway do you have?
I have 2.
So you get 4 die, right?
Yeah.
And so I was gonna say,
See, it's pretty controlled.
I would say this is a controlled action. I agree. And I'll say, I mean, honestly, I'm just gonna say great effect. Like the effect being like he joins you, and after you all effectively saved his life and got him out of dodge, like yeah, he becomes a loyal cohort. I'll look it up. I can't remember exactly what it might be, but we'll worry about that specifically later.
Oh no.
Failure.
Oh no! How sad.
It's pretty sad.
Okay.
Can I kill him?
Well, let me first say, press on by seizing a risky opportunity or withdraw and try a different approach. Okay. So you can seize a risky opportunity or withdraw. So because this was from a controlled position, I don't think the opportunity to recruit him is entirely gone. It's just you kind of have to approach it a different way. So we'll say you can try it again, but this is going to be a risky effect. The heat did go up. Okay, so this is going to be risky. You got to roll something different. So it can't be sway, I believe. So what are we thinking? If you want to try to recruit, if you're still trying to recruit him.
Thinking.
This would be Oliver, right?
It's any of you all. I think. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's Oliver because he's the one who rolled. But you can, press on by seizing a risky opportunity. Yeah, consort, command, attune.
I could try and attune him.
Oliver, what do you think?
Continuing the command. Like now.
Command? No,
let's follow. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So maybe it's less of a command and more like an intimidate at this point, like a threaten.
Yeah.
Like first it was, you were trying honey and now you're trying the opposite of that, whatever tastes like a threat. Okay.
Got a potential
it's-
threat in chat that the old gang wouldn't take him back because of the bad deal. So like he's gonna get, threat of violence from the old crew.
Either you get his ass killed by the hive for bungering this all up, or he takes his chances with an up and coming young crew that did actually help him out. Okay. So what's your command at, Cop?
It's just 1.
So we're at risky. I think at this point, like the effect is just going to be standard. He's gonna, but he's not like a zealous follower. He's following more out of,
Self-preservation.
Self-preservation, exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll say in terms of, do you want to push yourself to get an extra die?
I'm just getting 1 from my skill point, right?
You're getting 1 from your skill point.
Mhm.
Do you want to push yourself, take 2 more stress to get an extra die?
Yeah, I can spare that. Let's do it.
Okay. All right, so you take the 2 stress. You're up to 2 die. Does anybody else want to assist with this?
Sure.
Okay. You take 1 stress. So this is,
Leaves me
I
one
mean,
left.
in full. Yeah, I mean, I can offer another devil's bargain if you want instead of taking the stress. Let's see.
I was almost thinking the devil's bargain is like he's going to screw us over at some point.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing too. We start a clock on him for when he betrays you, or something like that, or when he like abandons you or something. Not necessarily a betray, but definitely abandons you or screws you over, or finds a better offer, that type of thing.
I have a stress to spare, so I'll just use stress here.
Okay, so you take the stress. So you get the plus 1 from that. So you're at 2 die. Uma, were you helping out?
Sure.
Okay, so you
I
take
don't
the plus
exactly
1
know
stress.
how healing stress works, but you know.
We'll do downtime next time. Like we're gonna
Yeah,
do downtime
okay.
as its own separate
Okay.
thing. So we'll hack that out. All right. So you got 3 die.
Wait.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Nope.
3 die. Go for it, man. Risky standard.
Here we go. This will be 7 die total rolled.
There
All
you
right,
go.
success. There we go.
Hey.
All right. So yeah, you tell him basically kind of what we just talked about. How, after everything that happened, do you really think they're gonna take you back? Do you really think they're not gonna want someone's head to roll for this?
Mhm.
So,
A
okay,
scapegoat, you could say.
get out. You're off the stream. I think, and I think with that, we'll say score over. We'll say that the barge you managed to take to a nearby dock, and we'll say, or maybe we figure out a way to transport or sell some of this next time. We'll kind of dive into those ideas next time. But we're over our time. But we have some options. Like this is the kind of the cool thing now, like because now we figure out, well, what do we want to do with this? Do we want to try to keep the barge and do a transport score maybe, and like try to take it to a different place? Do we want to try to just do a sales thing because we have the different hawkers options? So we'll hash out some ideas of what that could potentially be. But that was we did it. We successfully
survived.
finished. We survived our first Blaze in the Dark session.
Score.
That was exciting. That was fun. That is not.
That was cool.
Let me check the notes I had. Demon out of the water, goats running crazy. Long gets hit in the nuts by a goat. Didn't have that in my notes. They weren't in my. That wasn't one of my notes. Wasn't
Are you
in my notes at
surprised
all.
that there was goats though, Jeff?
No, because goats are awesome. They're super.
Yeah.
Okay.
Super goaty.
All right. So thank you to chat. Thank you for chat for hanging out and helping out. We got a lot of great suggestions. A lot of you are definitely more familiar with the game than us. We got some friends from our friends over at Garblight Games who are kind of coming and hanging out in the channel, and they've run some awesome stuff. So it was cool to see kind of getting those different ideas thrown out there. Let's see. What else are we doing? So Ashley and I are working on something super secret tonight. We can't talk about it yet.
Yep.
Tomorrow night, I'll be over on Steam Still Murder playing Shadowrun. But then on our channel, so back here, we play on, you can catch us streaming on Mondays, Fridays, and Saturdays. So Mondays, we alternate between Alien RPG, as we have an ongoing campaign, and UVG, Ultraviolet Grasslands. And so we alternate one or the other. This coming Monday, in a few days, is going to be Ultraviolet Grasslands. So very excited to get back to that. Next Friday, we start part 3 of Impossible Landscapes, the campaign that we've been running for Delta Green, part 3 of 4. We are moving past the midway point. Very exciting. And then we'll be back with more Blades in the Dark next Saturday, which is pretty exciting. We're going to dig into those downtime rules. So you guys all have homework. Go read those downtime rules. Me too. And we'll dive into that. And maybe if there's time, start up a new score. Who knows? We'll see. Let's see. Tuesday over on Garblight Games, I'll be playing with Matt and I think Jeremy and Veronica and Evan. I'm not sure if Aaron's in that one or not. Aaron, are you in the wrestling one if you're still in chat? as we're playing a wrestling game, Worldwide Wrestling. So that'd be a lot of fun. And then on Wednesday, I'll be over on Defenders of Cobalt playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So, but that's about it. Thank you, everybody who hung out. Really, really appreciate it. We
Yeah,
got some
that was fun.
fun
Thank
games,
you.
and we look forward to playing this more. We're going to go ahead and raid someone, see who's up, so that if you want and are looking for some additional goodness, we'll do that. Looks like Diesel Shot's up. So I'm going to go ahead and raid our friends over at Diesel Shot. And we'll see you later. So
Later.
good night, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for hanging out.
Bye.